Have you ever noticed how we tend to lump all sunscreen products into one big category? Just sunscreen? There's a common belief that it doesn't really matter which one you use, as long as you're slapping something on. But here's the truth. When you're over 70, your skin has very different needs compared to when you were 30 or 40. This isn't about vanity. It's about feeling secure and protected in your own skin, literally. As we age, our skin thins, becomes more prone to dryness and irritation, and can develop sensitivity that we never experienced in our younger years. And if you've ever caught yourself thinking, oh, I'll just stay in the shade, or I haven't gotten burned in decades, so I must be fine, you're definitely not alone. Yet the risks associated with sun damage, from premature wrinkles to more serious concerns like skin cancer, actually become more pronounced later in life. Imagine for a moment heading out for a sunny afternoon walk or sitting on your porch with a good book, feeling that warmth on your shoulders. What if, in the back of your mind, you're wondering whether your sunscreen is truly doing its job? What if you don't realize until much later that your usual brand isn't giving you the full protection you need now? The question isn't whether to use sunscreen, that's widely recommended, but how to ensure that what you're using is right for your changing skin. You've lived many decades, and each year of life has different demands. Addressing this issue can mean fewer surprise sunburns, better defense against harmful UV rays, and a sense of confidence whenever you step outside. Today, we're going to walk through 4 key insights that will transform how you think about sun protection. We'll talk about why your skin at 70 needs more specialized coverage, how to choose the right formula and SPF, the secrets behind applying sunscreen effectively, and a set of strategies beyond sunscreen that keep you safer and more at ease outdoors. By the end, you'll be able to step outside with greater peace of mind, knowing you've got the best possible protection for your unique stage of life. You might wonder, why trust me on this? Think of me as a preventive care specialist who spent years working closely with older adults. I've seen firsthand how small changes in daily habits can yield huge improvements in overall health and confidence. While I'm not claiming to replace your dermatologist or your doctor, I have witnessed the profound difference that personalized sun safety can make in preserving comfort and independence in older age. Before we dive in, I'd love for you to think about how often you currently use sunscreen. Every time you leave the house? Only at the beach? Rarely, if ever. Keep that in mind as we explore these points, because understanding your own habits is the first step toward more secure, more effective sun protection. Feel free to let me know what resonates with you, or even pause and reflect on which approaches might fit your lifestyle best. Now let's get started with the first key insight that will bust the myth that all sunscreen is the same, especially after 70. Have you ever caught yourself saying, I've been using the same sunscreen for years and never had a problem? It's a common perspective among seniors. In fact, many of my older friends and clients assume that if something's worked since their 50s, it'll work just as well now. But here's the twist. Your skin's needs change significantly as you age, and what might have been perfectly fine 10 or 20 years ago may not be giving you the protection or comfort you really need today. Point 1 often starts with the misconception that any sunscreen with an SPF label will do the job. Now, at first glance, SPF, sun protection factor, seems like the only relevant number. You might see an SPF 30 or 50, figure that's good enough, and move on. But the key is understanding the differences in UVA and UVB protection, the formula base, chemical versus mineral, and how these factors affect older skin specifically. Let me share the story of Edna, who's 75 and has always been dutiful about sunscreen. Edna spent most of her adult life using a well-known SPF 15 lotion and never once had a major sunburn. As she got into her 70s, she started noticing more sunspots popping up on her arms and face. Despite applying sunscreen, her skin seemed more fragile, more easily irritated, and prone to dryness. She couldn't figure out why she was still getting spots if she was protecting herself the same way she always had. It turned out that while her sunscreen had some UVB protection, that's the ray responsible for most sunburns, it offered limited UVA coverage. UVA rays penetrate more deeply, affecting the deeper layers of the skin and contributing to more serious damage over time, including age spots, wrinkles, and an increased risk of certain skin cancers. Younger adults have a bit more elasticity and natural oils that can keep the skin barrier somewhat resilient. But once you're in your 70s, your skin barrier is thinner and less robust. So even mild UVA exposure can create more noticeable changes and potential harm. The lesson we can take from Edna's story is that comprehensive protection is more than a single number on a bottle. These days, look for the words broad spectrum to ensure you're shielding both UVA and UVB rays. If you're sensitive to chemical sunscreens, many seniors report stinging or dryness. Opt for mineral-based options containing zinc oxide or titanium dioxide. These ingredients sit on the surface of your skin rather than soaking in, which can be gentler on older skin that's more delicate. Adopting the mindset that your skin isn't the same as it was at 50 can help you realize why investing in a specifically formulated sunscreen is a smart move. The benefit? You reduce the likelihood of unexpected sunburns, age spots, and potentially serious skin conditions down the line. Even more importantly, it's about the emotional comfort of knowing that you're actively taking steps to protect yourself. So the next time you think, I don't need to switch up my sunscreen, remember Edna's journey. A small change, like upgrading to a broad spectrum, gentle formula, could make a huge difference in how confidently you move through your days. If any of this resonates with you, let me know how your skin has changed over the years. Have you noticed more dryness or new spots? Addressing these signs early can help ensure you stay comfortable and secure every time you head outdoors. Now that we've established why any old sunscreen might not cut it after 70, let's look deeper into how you can choose the right SPF and formula for your specific needs. Many older adults are unaware that SPF alone isn't a one-size-fits-all measure. There's a big difference between an SPF 30 and SPF 50, but there's also a lot more behind those numbers than you might think. A common misconception goes something like this. SPF 30 blocks most UV rays, so why bother with 50 or higher? For a long time, even health professionals simplified their advice by saying SPF 30 is generally sufficient. But let's explore how that might overlook the unique challenges that seniors face. Consider Arthur, who's 72 and loves golfing. He's out on the course multiple times a week. Arthur used an SPF 30 lotion religiously on his arms and face. However, he was still experiencing a persistent redness across his forehead and cheeks. He shrugged it off as heat rash or part of the natural aging process. But after a trip to the dermatologist, he learned that his skin was more susceptible to sun damage than the average person's because of certain medications he was taking for blood pressure. Some blood pressure medications can make the skin photosensitive, meaning you're more likely to burn or develop irritation. Once Arthur switched to a higher SPF sunscreen labeled as broad spectrum and applied it more frequently, he noticed fewer flare-ups and less redness. His dermatologist also recommended a moisturizing base within his sunscreen to combat dryness. This combination made a substantial difference in both his appearance and his comfort during those long hours on the golf course. So how do you pick the right formula and SPF? Here are some practical considerations. Go broad spectrum. Look for the label broad spectrum, ensuring coverage for both UVA and UVB rays. Consider higher SPF. If you're on medications that increase photosensitivity or you spend multiple hours outdoors, an SPF of 50 or even 60 could be beneficial for that extra margin of protection. Moisturizing ingredients. Seniors often deal with dryness, so sunscreens that contain hydrating components like ceramides or hyaluronic acid can help maintain your skin's moisture barrier. Mineral versus chemical formulas. Mineral sunscreens, zinc oxide, titanium dioxide, tend to be gentler but may leave a slight white cast. Chemical sunscreens can be lighter in texture but might irritate very sensitive skin. When you find a sunscreen that meets your needs, you're not just preventing sunburn, you're also helping your skin hold on to its natural moisture. That can reduce that uncomfortable dryness or tightness you might feel a few hours after being outside. Emotionally, knowing you've chosen a sunscreen that aligns with your health conditions, like Arthur did with his photosensitivity, gives you a sense of security. It's not a shot in the dark. It's a deliberate and informed choice. One caveat: do a patch test first. Apply a small amount on your forearm or behind your ear, especially if you tend to have sensitive skin or you're trying a completely new product. You'll know within a day or so if the formula is truly comfortable for you. Let's pause and reflect. Have you ever linked a persistent skin irritation or unexpected redness to your sunscreen choice? Sometimes it's as simple as opting for a formula that aligns with age-related skin changes or medication side effects. This can mean the difference between feeling anxious about your skin or stepping outside with confidence. Whether you're golfing like Arthur, enjoying a grandchild's soccer game, or simply having coffee on your patio. If you're ready, let's move on to how and when to apply sunscreen to get the full range of benefits. By now, you know why ordinary sunscreen might not be cutting it after 70, and how to pick one that suits your skin best. But even the highest quality sunscreen won't help if it's not used effectively. There's a widespread assumption that you can slather it on once in the morning and call it a day. An easy misunderstanding that can leave your skin vulnerable in the afternoon sun. Many seniors also underestimate how much sunscreen is needed to cover the entire body adequately. Let's consider Lucinda, age 78, who lives in a sunny climate. She takes her dog for a walk each morning at 8 a.m., applies sunscreen, and feels she's done her part. By noon, she's off to run errands or meet friends for lunch, often outdoors. Lucinda believes her morning application is still going strong, so she doesn't bother reapplying. Here's the reality. Sunscreen effectiveness diminishes over time, particularly if you're sweating, wiping your face, or if there's any moisture around. By midday, her protection has likely faded significantly. So what's the practical, real-life approach? First, apply your sunscreen at least 15 minutes before you head outdoors. That gives chemical sunscreens time to bond with your skin and start working effectively. If you're using a mineral sunscreen, it's still a good idea to let it settle on the skin rather than rushing outside. Next, reapply every 2 hours, more often if you're sweating or toweling off. The recommended amount for an average adult body is about 1 ounce, a little shot glass size, to cover all exposed areas. Pay special attention to often missed spots: the back of your neck, the tops of your ears, around the hairline, and even the backs of your hands. As we age, spots can crop up on our hands faster than we realize. If you're out swimming or engaging in activities that make you perspire, water-resistant sunscreen is a must. But be aware, water-resistant isn't the same as waterproof. You'll still need to reapply after you're done in the water. Another tip for older adults is to consider layering your protection, especially if you deal with dryness. You might first use a moisturizer with SPF, let it absorb, and then add a layer of a higher SPF sunscreen. This approach can help keep skin hydrated and improve overall protection. The emotional reward? You'll notice fewer random red patches or that irritated feeling that can come from exposure to harsh sun, and you'll gain a comforting sense that you're doing right by your skin. If you worry about forgetting to reapply, set a reminder on your phone or watch, or make a habit of reapplying at lunchtime if you're out all day. The mental benefit can be huge. Instead of feeling anxious about whether you've done enough, you'll know you have a reliable routine in place. Check in with yourself now. Do you remember the last time you reapplied sunscreen in the middle of the day? If you can't recall, you're not alone. But that simple shift, treating sunscreen application like brushing your teeth or taking your vitamins, can make a monumental difference in how protected you stay. Now let's wrap up by talking about a few other strategies that go hand in hand with sunscreen to keep you secure and confident in the sun. Many seniors assume sunscreen is the only line of defense. I've got my SPF 30 on, I'm good to go. But here's the thing, if you're solely relying on sunscreen, you might be missing out on additional layers of protection that can significantly reduce your exposure to harmful rays. And these strategies can help you feel extra secure, particularly on days when you might have forgotten to reapply or chose a lower SPF than you actually needed. Take January 76, who loves spending afternoons gardening. She wears her trusted sunscreen, but noticed she was still developing new freckles on her forearms and shoulders. When she consulted with a skincare professional, she was advised to add a wide-brimmed hat and sun-protective clothing to her routine. At first, she thought it seemed excessive. She was already faithful about sunscreen. But once she tried a lightweight, long-sleeve shirt designed specifically for UV protection, she noticed a big difference. Not only did she stop getting new sunspots, but she also found the clothing more comfortable than reapplying sunscreen multiple times on her arms. In a sense, it relieved her from that nagging question, did I reapply yet? Her hat, combined with her new shirt and a good pair of sunglasses, gave her a renewed sense of confidence. So, beyond sunscreen, what can you do? Protective clothing. Look for items labeled with an ultraviolet protection factor, UPF. A UPF rating of 50 means that only 1/50th of the sun's UV radiation can penetrate the fabric. These clothes are often lightweight and breathable, perfect for hotter climates or active hobbies. Hats and sunglasses. Wide-brimmed hats shade your face, ears, and neck, all areas that are prone to sun damage. Sunglasses with UV protection can help guard your eyes against cataracts and the delicate skin around them from wrinkles. Timing your outings. The sun's rays are strongest between about 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. If possible, schedule walks, gardening, or other outdoor tasks in the early morning or late afternoon. This reduces the intensity of UV exposure and helps you avoid the hottest part of the day, which can be important for hydration and heart health. Soaking shade. If you're in a location with limited shade, consider bringing an umbrella or canopy when you'll be outdoors for an extended period. It's a quick fix that can make a big difference. Adding even one of these strategies can boost your sun defense considerably. Emotionally, it can also alleviate the worry that you've missed a spot with your sunscreen. There's something reassuring about a tangible barrier like clothing or a hat that doesn't wash off or fade throughout the day. If you find yourself resisting the idea because it feels like too much trouble, think about John. Just swapping out a regular t-shirt for a UPF-rated shirt made her entire routine easier and more effective. Are there parts of your daily routine where you could introduce a little extra layer of protection without much hassle? Maybe you're already wearing hats but haven't tried UV-blocking clothing. Or perhaps you love socializing outdoors with friends. Could you meet at a shaded cafe instead of sitting in full sun? These small tweaks can collectively add up to meaningful protection and peace of mind. Take a moment and picture your next outdoor outing, whether it's a stroll, gardening, or a family barbecue. Which of these extra defenses will you try? Thinking back over our conversation, you've learned why not all sunscreens are created equal and why that really matters once you've crossed the threshold of 70. You've discovered the importance of broad-spectrum coverage, how to select a higher SPF if you're dealing with medication side effects or extra sensitive skin, and the all-too-often overlooked step of reapplication. Finally, you've seen how adding protective clothing, hats, sunglasses, and strategic shade can round out a robust defense against sun damage. Now you might be thinking, okay, I get it, but how urgent is this? The truth is, skin protection becomes more critical with each passing year. Not only are you safeguarding against painful sunburns, but you're also reducing the risk of long-term conditions that can severely impact your quality of life, such as skin cancers that often go unnoticed until they become serious. The urgency here isn't about panic. It's about respect for the changes your body has undergone and honoring the many years you've lived by taking steps that ensure your comfort and well-being going forward. So envision yourself a few weeks from now. Maybe you've swapped out that basic SPF 15 for a broad-spectrum SPF 50 sunscreen that's gentle on older skin. Perhaps you've picked up a stylish, wide-brimmed hat that makes you feel a little bit like a movie star. Or you've taken that extra step of wearing a long-sleeved UPF-rated shirt during your morning walk. How do you feel stepping outside? Likely more at ease, free from the nagging worry that you're one forgotten application away from a sunburn, or worse. If you're ready to take action, here are a few immediate steps you can try. 1. Review your current sunscreen. Check the label to see if it's broad spectrum and appropriate for older skin. If not, consider upgrading to something more specialized. 2. Experiment with protective clothing. Try one sun-safe shirt or a larger brimmed hat and see how it feels. 3. Adjust your schedule. If you have the flexibility, move outdoor activities to earlier or later in the day. 4. Share your success. Let your friends or family know what's working for you. You might spark a conversation that helps someone else make a positive change too. You can dive in at whatever level feels right for you. Maybe you start small, just by reapplying sunscreen every 2 hours. Or you might overhaul your entire sun protection routine in one go. Either way, it's a step toward living more confidently and safely in your golden years. At the end of the day, it's important to remember that you know your body best. Listening to it, responding to its evolving needs, and protecting it from environmental stressors like the sun can help you maintain a life rich in activities and connections. You've come a long way, and you have every right to enjoy each sunny day with security and peace of mind. So here's to feeling protected, staying active, and making the most of every ray of sunshine on your own terms.